Welcome to this next video from the Clinical Legal Education Association Supervisor Video Project. This video will address the topic of orientation. As noted in the video preceding this one, onboarding, the two topics are closely linked. Let's review the definitions we use there, and we will continue to use now. In this training, we're defining onboarding as the tasks to think about before the extern starts work. And we're defining orientation as the plan for the first few days of the actual externship period. There aren't any strict rules about what needs to happen in onboarding versus what should happen during orientation. It can vary from placement to placement. We've tried to arrange here in a way that has worked well for many externship sites, and we're hoping we can offer you some guidance. This video deals with orientation. It's a lot shorter than the onboarding video because if you've onboarded your student well, the first few days in the office should go smoothly. Here are some of our thoughts on orientation. The first thing to consider is making the extern to feel connected to the office. And the most important question on day one for almost every student is, where is the bathroom? Okay, maybe not the most important, but it is pretty important, and in a way, it kind of makes the point that the little things actually do matter a lot when you're thinking about trying to make connections. You should be planning some sort of orientation for your externs. Here are some things to consider. Be explicit about the support structure of your program. Tell students who they should reach out to and when. Familiarize them with people and what their roles are. Who's their direct supervisor? The externship program coordinator? Who's the paralegal or program administrator? How can they contact tech support, building maintenance, or other important coworkers? Make sure you provide opportunities for students to get to know your office and coworkers. This is going to help them create a network within your office. Think about how you're going to introduce them to other people in your office. Will you walk them around and introduce them? Will you send an email to the people that they'll be working with? Use the office's bulletin board if it's available to you. Is there a staff meeting coming up when the extern can be introduced? Make sure you give them a tour of the office space. Maybe this is how you introduce them. Maybe it's when you pointed out where the bathroom is or where they could place their lunch. Also, make sure they know if there are spaces where they should not go. More than a few of us can tell stories about externs who got stuck in a stairwell or gated parking lot when they didn't realize certain doors might lock behind them. We've observed that office tours are valuable even to students who are working remotely. They appreciate a virtual tour of the office if it is a physical space. Walking through the office while on a video call, pointing out a couple of things of interest, maybe that's when you introduce them. That can make all the difference in making a remote extern feel welcome. Learning office culture takes some time, so a bit of explaining up front can help in that process. A few things you might consider addressing here are, how do people address each other? Should titles like Mr., Ms., or Mix be used when first meeting someone? How are office meetings handled? Are there regular employees or attorney meetings that the student can or should attend, whether in person or virtually? Is there a dress code students should be aware of, like casual Fridays? Should they be advised that even if it is a business casual office, they should still keep a suit in the office so that they could have the opportunity for a surprise meeting or to shadow a lawyer going to court? Having externs connect with each other is extremely important in creating community. If you have multiple externs, you may want to think about how you're going to encourage them to work together. Some places will intentionally co-locate their workspaces. Others will ask the externs to schedule weekly meetings that are extern only so that they can discuss their experiences, projects, as well as provide support to each other. You should have more social events that include externs. This doesn't have to be a big thing. Maybe it's just coffee and pastries once a month where you discuss career paths, or a monthly brown bag lunch mixing a couple of different employees from your office with the externs. Students can greatly appreciate this. If you can make the time at the outset, we think it's great to ask students, what are your professional goals after this externship? And then think about how you, the supervisor, can help in those goals. It's worth asking yourself, do you consider yourself to be a mentor for the student? It's fine not to be, but if you're not going to be the mentor, who in your office will? Can you assign a less formal mentor to the student, like a new attorney to whom the student can ask dumb questions? There may be other professional connections that you can make for the student, even if they're remote. Can you help the student set up information interviews with professionals on the same career path that interests that student? Are there events or conferences that you recommend the student attend? Are there professional organizations that the student could join? How can you help the student feel part of something bigger? This is the takeaway. Creating community during orientation matters.